got a list of questions just to begin, like just a
Yeah.
list of questions to go through. I'll just go in order. What made you want to become a comic writer?
I grew up reading comic books, so I really liked comic books, but I had no idea that it was a job. I had never heard of anybody who was a comic writer, and I just in my head, I never thought like about the people that actually work on them. And then I went to grad school after I finished college. I wanted to be a professor. But while I was in grad school, like I mean, I went to school because I always liked reading and writing, and
Hmm.
I felt like it just became very, I mean, it's very academic. I was doing academic publishing, and the writing I was doing was, um, it was a very specific kind of writing, and I missed creativity. And I knew somebody that worked kind of in comics, but initially I thought like, well, maybe I'd like writing video games because I like video games. So I was talking to people about that because that world I actually knew a little bit more about. And through that, I met some comic book writers. And one day, a comic book writer was just like, "Well, why don't you write a comic book? Like, you have ideas, you know how to write, and you know a lot about comics." So I there was a horror story that I had wanted to write for a long time, and they helped me find an artist, and eventually it got published through a small, very small independent press called Black Mask. I think
Hmm.
it was called. I don't think they're really around anymore, but
Okay.
I thought like it would just be like a fun thing to do, and I was interested in doing it. I made zero money off of this book, and I didn't know that it would turn into a career. But once I did that, I started getting asked to write other things or to pitch other things, and
Yeah.
a few years later, I kind of had to make a choice about being a professor or being a comic book writer. So that one
Yeah.
was a
I
choice.
think it's quite an obvious answer.
Right. Well, I mean, the scary thing was like as a professor, I had really amazing health insurance was really the biggest thing. I was like, if I quit this job, I lose that, which in the US is like that was like a diamond to have. It was, I worked in New York and New York State gave the best health
Yeah.
insurance. So giving that up was honestly a little scary, and giving up a set salary because it was like, well, I mean, DC Comics is hiring me right now, but what if in a year they decide to stop hiring me and I've
Hmm.
quit my stable job as a professor? And so that was scary, but I decided to take a chance, and I'm very glad I did.
Yeah, I think it's turned out well.
Thank you.
The upsides of being a massive nerd, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting, like doing something that you really love. Like, I mean, when I turned 18, the first thing I did was get a tattoo of Batman. Like, I love this stuff. I love comic books. I love the characters. And turning that into a career has definitely been interesting because you think about it, I think, a little differently. Like, the business of writing Batman is different than just loving Batman.
Yeah.
Um, so I still try to find ways that I can enjoy it and love it outside of it being a career.
Yeah, like
I
instead
don't know
of
if that makes
being the
sense.
one sitting down at a desk writing down like ideas and
Yeah, yeah, just like and like finding other things I love. Like there's actually a video game that I love a lot, and I've been asked to write comic books for it.
mm,
And I said no. I mean, in some ways, like it didn't quite fit in my schedule, but in other ways, I was like, I kind of want to keep it just this thing that I love, and I don't want to get involved with the company and being in charge of the characters. Like, I really just want to be able to love it. If which is
mm.
like a weird. I
Yeah.
was like, I want to just stay a fan of this.
Yeah, because if you're like writing for them, then as like a massive fan of something, you could be worried that like you write them incorrectly or like in a way that you don't like or how they don't like.
Yeah, like if something went wrong and it was a bad experience, that would be yeah,
Sure.
that would kind of
You
suck.
you for life.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's something to be like, I guess in my mind, trying to split the idea of being a fan and then also sometimes working on those characters. Like the first time I got asked to write Batman, was kind of terrifying. Like, I love Batman. Like, could I write a Batman story? And it's like, well, that was the whole thing. Like, I love Batman. He's one of my favorite characters, so I should be able to do this. But it felt like there was a lot of pressure. So I think like the second time I was asked to write a Batman story, I was a lot more comfortable. But the first time it was a little bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I feel like if I was like, sometimes I'm thinking like, ooh, I could like be an artist for comics or something, and then I'm like, no, just that'd be too much.
Yeah.
I'm content just being in my own bubble of just drawing for leisure and not work.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Uh,
I totally get that.
Maybe someday I can do that, but not right now. Still got
Right.
college. I need to get through college first.
That makes sense.
Okay, question two. What made you want to write for Gwen?
I like Gwen's sensibility. I really like grounded characters, and I think Gwen is superhuman. Uh she's young. I think the like Marvel's take on her age is somewhere around about 19 years old. So you have I don't know, like being 19 and just having superpowers and unlike Peter Parker, she's not a science whiz. She's a
Just a
girl in a
person.
rock band. What's that?
Yeah, just a person.
Yeah, exactly. Like she's a girl in a rock band with regular problems. And I mean, some of that is what made Peter Parker so appealing as a character as well, like watching him grow up and struggle with superpowers
Mhm.
and kind of being a bit of an outcast or a nerd, and there are bullies and a love triangle. And it's like those are all the kinds of things that I think are also very relatable to a kind of teenage girl. She's sometimes a little bit older. And
Mm.
so being able to write that perspective and like I think put in a lot of my own experiences too of yeah, I kind of I think relate to her a lot. I was in a band as a teenager as well, and it's like
Mm.
the drama of friend groups or romances, being in a band, all these things that she really wants to keep up with, and then she's a superhero on top of it.
Mm.
And she's funny, which I really appreciate. And so kind of getting to play with a character that she has so many relatable flaws, but at the end of the day is just a really good person and someone that you would probably want to be friends with. I
Mm.
really like that about Gwen.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, if I had the chance to like be in Marvel, I think like just going straight to Gwen and be like, be my best friend.
yes, I want to be in your band, please. um, I was excited about the band too. Honestly, I really like that element, like growing up in a band and always playing instruments.
Yeah.
So for the time, like we haven't seen it yet. There hasn't been a lot with her band, but it's something that we've been bringing back and doing a lot more with her musical side, and I've been very excited for that. Um, I've got some cool ideas of where to take that and hopefully stuff we can play with in terms of like new band names and artwork and logos and things that I get really excited about. So, and also it's just really cool to write a character that can swing through New York City on a web. That part of it will never ever get old. Like I think I've written, wow, I don't know how many Gwen scripts I've written now because I've written a couple of like her one shots and things like that as well. But
Mm.
uh, every time you write just the big scene of like New York City and Gwen is swinging through it, it's just cool. It's one of the best parts of writing a spider.
And I can imagine like as the writer, like knowing like how the artist is gonna like interpret what you've wrote and like how they'll actually like put it out will be is always
Yeah.
cool as well.
Yeah. I've been working with artist Paolo Villanelli for most of the Gwen run, and we worked together before that as well. So we knew we worked together really well, and I really trust his vision of Gwen as well, to just do some super cool stuff with the setting and the action sequences. He doesn't need a lot. At this point, we've worked together so long, it really doesn't take much to.
It could be like really like indescribable and still he'll still be like, got you.
Right, yeah. Sometimes we message back and forth too on like messaging apps or whatever, and it's just I'll tell him like, hey, I had this idea and I want to see what you think of it, just to kind of get his take on the visualization of what I'm
Mm.
writing to make sure it's kind of lining up. So there are a couple of things that it's been like, well, I had this idea and we don't have to go in this direction, but if it's, jumping out at you as something exciting and, if he gets really into it, it's like, all right, cool, we'll go in that direction. And it's fun to talk about it with him.
Do you ever get a say in like once they've like written a or like drawn a panel, and
Mhm.
like do you ever get a say in like actually I'd like this character there, or like could you change this part about it or anything like that?
You mean like once the artwork is drawn?
Yeah, do you like get a say in like alterations to it?
I mean, I see everything, whether like Paulo does do layouts before he goes to pencils and inks, but I never ask for changes. I trust Paulo's vision, so Paulo will make changes to what I've written, but it's always for the better. It's always for like,
Mm.
hey, I thought we could add a panel here because it'll help with this visual or this transition, and
Mm.
uh, I 100% trust Palo to do that. I have no problem with that. It is something that we do together. So I am not the sole storyteller.
Yeah.
We are co storytellers in this process. So I'm kind of giving a foundation for where the story should go, kind of some direction on the actual driving force of the plot. But I mean, he's doing really the heavy lifting, and also if he's in the weeds of it and is like, I thought we could use this extra panel, or change the point of view here or something, I totally trust what he is seeing on the page as well.
Mm.
And I love having that relationship with my artist.
Do
So I
you
don't think I've ever asked for a change. I can't even remember the last time I ever asked an artist for a change.
mm, do you like choose who the like do you choose the artist that works on the book with you, or is that up to like Marvel or DC or whoever like is publishing it?
Um, I usually do not choose. That is, but yeah, that's usually not something that I get to be a part of. But in the case of Paolo, I was a part of that. There was an original artist on the series named Chris Campagna, and Chris had an injury and couldn't continue, and they kind of told me like, okay, well, we've got a problem. He injured his hand, which is like
Mhm.
not, which
The
is bad
worst
for
thing
an
for an
artist.
artist.
Yes, awful thing for an artist. And he wouldn't have been able to meet the schedule based on like the healing time, which is really too bad. But the silver lining there is, they came to me and they were like, this is the situation. And I said, well, I'm currently finishing up Black Widow and Hawkeye with Paolo Villanelli. I really love working with Paolo. Do you think when he's done with Black Widow, we could ask him to jump over and work on Spider-Gwen? And everybody seemed really in agreement with that. They wanted to keep Paolo working, so they were happy to line up something new for
Mhm.
Paolo after the Black Widow series. And yeah, we've gotten to continue working together for a while now. So we just went from Black Widow and jumped over to Gwen together. So
Mm.
that is a bit rare. I think I got more say in it because of the situation. So like,
Mm.
there was already an artist staffed on it, and I love Chris. I would have loved working with him as well, but um yeah, it turned into something good out of something that was a, a bit unfortunate at first.
Mm. Yeah, I've really enjoyed seeing how do you say his name? Uh
Paolo?
Palo's like art throughout like the issues.
Yeah.
It's always nice to like discover like a new artist you didn't know about and then be like, oh, that's one of my favorites now.
Yeah. No, he's wonderful.
Hmm. There've been quite a few like different artists on the book so far. Is that for any particular reason, or is it just like scheduling or
Yeah, with an ongoing, that's typically how it works. There's a main artist. So in this case, it's Palo, and same thing on Phoenix. There was a main artist, Alessandro Miracolo, and then there's fill-in artists that help because a monthly schedule is kind of insane to draw 20 plus pages in a month. So
Mm.
as an artist is working, usually out of every 5 scripts or every 5 months, there needs to be at least one fill-in artist to help with the timing of the schedules. And sometimes you have months that are like double ship months, which means it would be really impossible for an artist to keep up with that
Mm.
schedule. So
Yeah.
it's to help them out, and yeah, it's kind of just like the state of the schedule demands it.
It's nice to have a bit of a like change sometimes as well, like in terms of art, just seeing like different people that you may not have heard of, and then be like, oh, they're cool, and then like go off
Yeah.
with their stuff.
I didn't know Vaughn Randall before he started doing fill-ins with us on Spider-Gwen, and he's been our regular fill-in artist, and I think he's going to continue to be. So I think I've done, let's see, out of all the scripts, maybe 3 or 4 have been Vaughn, and Vaughn is also amazing. Like beyond Spider-Gwen, I'd really love to find another project with Vaughn as well. I think he's got
Mhm.
such a cool style. And once I saw his work, I was like, oh, his work is actually more, it leans almost more horror oriented. And so I kind of gave him some scripts that I was like, I think he'll have fun with these, like kind of moody, like when there's a judge that gets taken by the villain. And so like when we have these like kind of nighttime scenes and lightning flashing across the house at night, I was like, I think this is like perfect for Vaughn. And so I specifically wrote those things for Vaughn and his art style, and he just like really killed it.
Mm. It helps when it probably helps when you've got like you can like write something to match with an
Mhm.
artist instead of like giving them something completely random and then having to have them like work around it almost.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the job you really, you don't always know who's going to draw something when you write it. It is super helpful to know because I can do things like that. I can see their style and really give them something that is that's the best for them and what they do. And I mean, I hope so. So that's my goal, anyways.
Hmm. Okay, next question. Do you have a favorite comic you've ever worked on, like from start to finish, or like from now up, or like back when you started to like present day?
My favorite thing I've written is always what is on my desk at the moment because I feel like that's just like what I'm in.
Focusing
And
on.
I also feel like I just get better from every single script. But I think my answer would be like any of my creator owned. So Grimm, which has been an ongoing title from Boom, I've been working on that book for years with artist Flaviano, and
Yeah.
um, so that one, I feel like that's a really special one because when you work on an independent book that's not at Marvel or DC, the chances of that going to an ongoing series, that's really slim. So the fact that we're on issue like 21 or 22 is it's pretty crazy. And I feel really lucky that we hit on something that we like to work on and people apparently like to read.
Mm.
Recently, I did a book called Red Before Black, also with Boom, and it takes place in my home state of Florida. So
Oh,
it's like a
cool.
Florida crime thriller. I feel like that one is also really. I mean, it's just 6 issues. It is a solid, like from start to finish. This is like a concrete 6 issue story, but I'm really happy with that one as well. I have an upcoming book called Endeavor that I'm still currently writing, and that one I also really love. I think it's some of the best stuff I've written. And co-writing Life with Brian Azzarello has been pretty amazing as well.
How do you like come up with your story ideas for like and yeah, how do you yeah.
I wish I had a really good answer for that. I don't entirely know where ideas necessarily come from. I think just like always thinking about ideas and experiences, things that I'm seeing. I read a lot, I watch a lot of movies, I travel a lot, and I think just in the process of doing those things, and uh, sometimes I get ideas. I've done a lot of historical fiction work, and sometimes that comes from just a lot of the reading I do.
I mean just like you see something cool and you write it down and be like, oh, that would be cool if like this character did this or
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've got like the notes app on my phone is just filled. I should probably
Permanently
clear
open.
that. Yeah, I mean I like listening to other conversations too, like listening to what people are saying around me, just kind of making notes. And maybe it's annoying to just constantly be thinking about story, but I also kind of like
It's a
it.
job, but it's kind of necessary.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
How did you come up with the idea in your Gwen run of like giving her like extra powers like in I think issue 3?
Yeah, so
Starting from
it's
issue 3.
linked to so Gwen has changed Earths because she's from like an alternate Earth.
Yeah.
Now she's in our main Earth, which is Earth 616. And so it's all kind of linked to the mystery of why she moved Earths, which I think we've revealed now that it's related to a cosmic cube. So we were kind of just seeding these cosmic cube powers. Like if there's a cosmic cube influencing her, it's going to be like going off. And so it's not necessarily like Gwen having all these extra abilities, it's her being unable to control this extra cosmic power that's kind of
Mm.
taking over her a little bit. So that was kind of also just seeding parts of the overall mystery of like why did Gwen move to
Mm.
Earth 616.
Yeah, because I remember reading it and then I was like, that's cool, but a bit like random in a way. And I'm like, but now I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite individual like issue you've ever like written for
Mm,
Gwen or anything else?
I'm not sure. I mean, I really do like I like the issue coming up where Gwen has a conversation with Jean Grey. Um, that's really fun having them work together. Um, there's an issue of Phoenix that I'm currently writing that I really, really like, and I can't say exactly what's going on, but it involves her sister Sarah Gray and it involves Cable. And it's like it's an issue that I've been building towards. So I've been really excited about it, and hopefully I can like, land the issue in the way that I want.
Mm. Is the issue you were just talking about, the Gwen one, is that the one coming out tomorrow?
I think it is. I have a hard time keeping track of what issue is coming out because I'm writing like ahead of the issues, but I think it is. I think it's the one where they finally meet. You know what? No, I think it's the next one. I think the one that comes out tomorrow, Jean Grey is in it, but like not until the very end. And then the issue after that is them doing stuff
So
together.
she's so she's like the like to be continued part almost.
Yes. Yeah, she's kind of our cliffhanger.
Cool. Yeah, because I have like you saying like trying to remember like which issues like come out, which I have like in my calendar on my phone just like every like comic I get weekly,
Oh wow,
like
cool.
always put in be it what or like I'll just put one of them even though if there's like a multiple release thing.
Yeah.
So I'll go in being like, oh, it's a Gwen like Wednesday, and then I'll be like, oh, I come out with like 5 extras, and I'm like, I don't remember which, like I'll come out with like Gwen, and then I'll end up coming with like Absolute Batman or Batgirl or whatever, and I'm like,
Oh, that's cool.
is there any other characters, either Marvel or DC, or even just outside that you'd like want to work on, given the opportunity?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'd like to work on some of the like male legacy characters. I've got a few favorites. I really like Daredevil. I like Wolverine. Um, I like Captain America a lot.
Hmm.
I think working on any of those titles would be really cool.
Is there any story you've written where you've like got looked back at it and wished like, oh, I wish I changed this about it, or are you like overall like still happy with like something you've written a year or two ago?
Well, I mean, I can't go back and change it, so I guess I don't really think like that. I always just think to the next thing. But I mean, I
Mm.
feel that way about everything. Like I'm constantly like, oh, I can do better. And I've been thinking that way for years, and that never has changed. I always see something that I'm like, oh, this could have been done in a different way. I mean, part of the job is making decisions. So there are always decisions about where you can take a character or how they react to something. And it's always about making decisions for the plot. So, yes, absolutely. It's like, well, I could have made a different decision on any single script, but I get to make decisions again in the next script. Like, it's like as soon as I finish one script, I have to move on to the next one. And I don't look back that often. Like, I mean, in terms of thinking about things that I liked that I did or want to improve on, I do think about that. But I don't think about I don't think too negatively about some of the stuff I've done in the past. I think I try to transition that into let's do a really good next script.
When I'm doing like some of my art, like I'll look at it and be like, I'm really happy with it. And then like not even 10 minutes later, I'll look back at it and I'm like, I really wish I changed that, or I wish I did like a different color. But then I'm like, it's still my most like detailed piece yet. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the best place to be though, like constantly wanting to be better, but also not being like super hard on yourself about things that you don't like. Just being able to like channel that into something positive and wanting to get better is I hope a place I never leave.
yeah. What was I gonna say? When you write Gwen, do you ever like is there any other characters you like take inspiration from? Like, do you base her slightly off, I don't know, Stephanie Brown from DC, for example, because they're kind of similar.
No, I mean I think for a pre-existing character like that, she's got quite a few comics and she's
Hmm.
got screen appearances. So there's a lot of her to pull from. And I don't know where the original creators were pulling from with her, but um, really I'm just pulling from her source material to
Hmm.
create, the personality that she's got, and then I think kind of making it my own from there.
Hmm. Yeah, because I'm like, it's like you can read like that was one of the things I was gonna ask as well, but like you kind of answered there was like, yeah, do you ever like when writing for an established character, like go back through their stuff and like absorb their personality until you've got it like down pat, or
Yeah, definitely read the source material that came before. Somewhere along the line, there's kind of an established personality for the characters, but that's still my interpretation of Gwen. So I
mm,
mean, I think more than other characters I write, there might be more of me and Gwen than some of the other characters I write, because I think I actually relate to Gwen more than others that I work on. So Gwen is a combination of obviously who she is as a person, and that's something that I kind of already aligned with. So then just making her really the version of her that I want to write, and the version of her that I really enjoy. I think she's fun, and like I said, I think she's really funny too. Like
mm,
she's sarcastic, and she's got a kind of dark sense of humor. And the other thing I really love about her, I like her relationship with her dad.
mm,
That is something that I think in the Marvel universe, most parental relationships are not super great, or they've gone sour in some way. So getting to have someone that has a strong parental relationship, I really like that.
yeah. When you like go back to like reread her stuff to like make sure you're getting her like correct, which do you like go back to like the original like run from for her, or do you kind of just like go from like the most recent one, or do you just take from a bit of everything?
I mean, it's a little bit of everything, but I don't think it's a matter of getting something correct. Like, my version of Gwen is my version of Gwen. So, this is
Yeah.
how I see the character. And I think that's one of the coolest parts about having different writers come to a character, is getting to see their take on a character. Like, Brian Azzarello's take on Wonder Woman is not the same as Tom King's take. You can see
Yeah.
influences, particularly in the mythology that has carried over. I think seeing like Kelly Thompson's version of Wonder Woman for Absolute Wonder Woman, you can absolutely, that was an unintended pun, see Brian Azzarello's influence on that as well. So
Yeah,
there's influence for sure, things
but there's
that,
never any like direct stealing almost.
yeah, right, yeah. I want it to be my own, and I think that's important. Like everything that I mean, not to speak for all other writers, but I think everything we do is personal to a large degree. Like we are, it's impossible to not put yourself in the things you're doing in some way. Like it's us writing it, it's us putting words in the mouths of these characters. So it's still me, but it's also Gwen. Like I don't want to stray too far from this is Gwen, and
Yeah.
Gwen is very different from Jean Grey. That's something that you'll also see like when the two of them are in the same place talking to each other. It's like these are, they're not the same character. They have their
Yeah.
own distinct personalities that may have been established over time, but it's still my take on that character.